Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some Tearlaments. It's been a minute since I've played this deck, so I definitely wanted to come back to it, especially because we do have that Alt Art window, so I definitely wanted to make sure I put that to some use there. Tearlaments. I actually really like it in this meta because of Winda is one of the main reasons. So, of course, as we all know, Tenpai is rampant, running everywhere, eating about roughly 20% of the meta at pretty much any given point in ranked ladder. Rating duels, it might actually be higher. I don't know about that, but Winda is a pretty good counter to Tenpai because, of course, of the second effect, which says each player can only special summon monsters once per turn. This is quite detrimental to Tenpai, as they need to be able to special summon more than once to be able to make anything that can out the Winda in battle. I don't think they have a way to buff any of their main deck monsters to make it stronger than 2200 attack points. I'm pretty sure they don't. That, of course, combined with the fact that the Winda cannot be destroyed by card effects, meaning a lot of the more common outs to Winda, these board breakers that they play, like Lightning Storm, like Dark Hole, Black Rose Dragon, Raigeki, all that kind of stuff, none of those are going to be outs. Now, they do still play some outs to it. Forbidden Droplet is going to be one of the main ones. It can impermanent, of course, as well, potentially, but I mean, that aside, there's not really too much they can do to out the window once it's on the board. So I really like, this deck, but especially Winda in particular in the Tenpai matchup there. So yeah, what else? I don't know what else do we got going on with this deck. I will say it is a pretty standard list, right? We're not going for a crazy 60 card pile. Not that I don't like those, y'all know that I do. But here, I really just wanted to sort of just touch base with like the sort of basic build of Tearlament. And I will say that I think that if you're looking for consistent results, this is probably the way to go. Especially with the banning of Pearl of Rhino, which, there are some people who are kind of confused about why that card got hit. Because one, it seems like it's a weird hit for Tearlament. And two, Tearlament didn't really seem like it was that particularly strong. In the Duelist Cup, the 60-card pile decks were actually quite good. They were tearing it up quite a bit. In particular, I know there was like an Aeroshark FTK deck. So, those kind of decks, as we discussed in the video a few days ago, are also why Fairy Tail Snow got limited. Or one of the main reasons why it got limited. Well, no, it would be the main reason, right? Because a regular 40-card Tearlament deck is only ever going to play one Fairy Tail Snow. So, yeah, I think that, the Pearl of Rhino ban was definitely more of a hit to those 60-card pile decks because those decks would mill with grass among other cards like Lightsworn Stuff, Zombie Vampire, etc., etc. They would mill the trap card Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, which, that would be, for those who aren't familiar, if I can spell correctly. This one here, yep. So they build this card, of course, we've probably all seen it before. They banish it, they add the Pearl of Rhino, and then the Emerald Tortoise. And this interaction is actually, again, what caused the main reason why the Pearl of Rhino got banned. It is also a very minor consistency hit to, like, a regular Tearlament deck, but again, these kind of regular 40-card style Tearlament decks were not what was, insanely overpowered, right? I don't even know about insanely overpowered, just like a major nuisance in the meta, I think is a better way to say it. But yeah, no, we're not doing any of that kind of crazy stuff. We are, like I said, playing a pretty by-the-books 40-card deck here, which is kind of, I don't know. If I want to focus on a Tearlament, like, strategy, this is the way I prefer to play the deck. The 60-card variants, if I'm splashing Tearlament, well, I'm just doing that, right? It's going to be splashed more as an engine, a way to facilitate a lot of mills, as opposed to, like, the dedicated Tearlament strategy. But I like the dedicated Tearlament strategy, even though it's, like, a really spammy combo deck. Once you actually play through all of the combos, it actually kind of plays a lot like a control deck, right? We're looking to use stuff like a Roll Close we make on turn 1, or, our trap cards, any combination of those and mills to hit a fuser on the opponent's turn, make a Kaleido Heart, and start shuffling their stuff back, right? It's a very control-y strategy. So I think that's a lot of the reason why people really like this deck and why the mirror matches were pretty favored for a tier 0 format, is because, like, there's a lot of skill expression both on the end of setting up the board, and there's also a lot of skill expression in how you execute your disruption, which is, I've always said that's a skill that a lot of people don't really consciously value a lot. But I think that a lot of people subconsciously value it when they play Tearlament, right? But, you know, even somebody setting up a board of, like, 3 negates, right? It's so easy to call that an auto, like an FTK. Basically, unironically, I've seen people say, like, yeah, that is an FTK. And it's a board of, like, Appaloosa, Baron, Borload. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that is very intimidating, but if your opponent doesn't play correctly, depending on your hand, it's not actually impossible to get away with comboing through all that kind of stuff. Again, it is very situationally dependent, but what I'm getting at here is that it is a skill to know when to negate your opponent's stuff, and not just to know choke points, but to also be able to recognize when you don't follow a choke point, right? To know the situational basis of what they could do and when it's best to disrupt them as a result. And Tearlament kind of oozes that, in my opinion, because it's more than just the negates. It's like, you know, targeting graveyard interaction. I guess they do have negates in the form of Crime and Soliak, but again, knowing when to go into the Kaleido Heart. The timing is especially important for going into Kaleido Heart, because you've got to summon it at a point when you want to use the effect, and not like, you can't, you know, your opponent, if they're threatening to put a scary monster on board that you don't want to be on board at all, you can't just, like, use the Fuser after the summon has already resolved, right? And then try to go for Kaleido Heart. You have to go for the Kaleido Heart, ideally, as the monster is coming down, and try to get it in the same chain link, as an example, you know, so. There's a lot of nuance to it, and I think I like that quite a bit. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the build for now. I think I will break it down card by card, because, like I said, it's kind of been a minute since we've played a Tearlaments deck, so let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll look at some games. We are on 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Tearlaments Havness, 1 Perform Mage Trick Clown, 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 2 Supreme Sea Mare, 2 Tearlaments Shiren, 3 Tearlaments Rhinoheart, 1 Keldo the Sacred Protector, 1 Mudora the Sword Oracle, 1 Shadal Beast, 1 Destrudo the Lost Dragon's Vision, 1 Kashtira Fenrir, 1 Tearlaments Kashtira, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Foolish Burial Goods, 1 Tearlaments Grief, 1 Pressured Planet Wraithsoth. We have 3 Tearlaments Scream, 3 Super Polymerization, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Tearlaments Heartbeat, 1 Tearlaments Vedinhoys, 1 Trevakarma, 1 Tearlaments Crime, and then finally 1 Tearlaments Soliak. And that is going to be our 40-card main deck. For the extra, we're on 1 Muddragon of the Swamp, 1 El Shadal Winda, 1 Tearlaments Kiklos, 1 Garura Wings of Resonant Life, 1 Predoplant Dragos Stapelia, 1 Tearlaments Volcalos, 1 Tearlaments Kaleido Heart, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Psychic and Punisher, 1 Time Thief Redoer, we got 1 number 60 Dugaris the Timeless, 1 Divine Arsenal Awe, Zeus Sky Thunder, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 SP Lunlight, and finally 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. There's our list. Let's see some games. Okay, our first game is going to be up against Neon Knights, who is actually a viewer. I saw on the Discord server, someone was like, wait, did I just play against, you know, Hex? And I was like, hey, yeah, that was me. So, Neon's going to be on Tenpai here, but I think we won the coin flip, so I don't know if we knew that right off the bat. Gonna go for the Rhinoheart first. Of course, they're going to Ash Blossom in response, but thankfully we have the call by, so that is going to be a bit of a non-issue here. And thankfully we did have the call by, because otherwise, as you can see with this hand, we would have had to set Super Poly Pass. So we'll send off the Havness here, Havness effect to fuse. I'll do it with the Rhinoheart in hand. That way I get the extra body on the board, right? Is the idea, at least. So I'm going to go for the Kaleido Heart, or the Kiklos, rather. Milling the Tear Cash. Tear Cash mills 2. There's Keldo. That's not bad. Kiklos bringing back the Tear Cash. We're going to mill a total of 8. Well, a total of 10, really. But 8 on this one chain link here. So, Rhinoheart Scream. And then Soliak. Grief Scream. Oh, no, that was Meta Noise, not Soliak. Yeah, because I remember thinking that during the actual game itself, too. I was like, alright, I milled Solic, but I was like, oh wait, no, that's Meta Noise. It's not nearly as good. If it was Solic, I could have gotten Shiren and then specialed the Mudora. Or special by sending the Mudora, rather. And then I could have gone into more plays. But here, I don't really have any more plays. I'm going to add Crime, and I'll set that with Super Poly and then pass. I opted for Crime here over the Solic. Couple of reasons for that. One is that the Counter Trap Omni Negate, quote-unquote, style effect is, I think, a lot better than just the regular Monster Negate. Also, like, sending a Rhino Heart off the Solic would be fine. It'd let me go into plays, but with Crime, I could send the Mudora in my hand, which could potentially be more disruption. So, I also figured between a Counter Trap Negate and Super Poly, I'd be good here. So, they're going to start with a Dark Hole. I kind of figured it was probably going to be Tempai as soon as I saw that. And unfortunately, Dark Hole against this deck really only serves to improve my board in the grand scheme of things. I will say, it's not unreasonable to Dark Hole here and assume you're only dealing with a Mill 2, which I also got very lucky on the Mill 2 by hitting a Shiren. It's not at all unreasonable to assume that. Well, I don't know, actually, I'm trying to remember. I guess I did add the Rhino Heart off of the Meta Noise. Didn't I? I'm trying to think. I don't know. Anyway. Either way, we're going to go for Rolkalos Kikalos here. Rolkalos first, of course. And I am just going to negate the Sangen Kaiman with the Rolkalos here. Okay, drop what's coming down. Excuse me. But thankfully, we do have that Crime that we set. This is, yeah, I'm very, very glad that we set Crime instead of the Solic, or added it, rather. So yeah, we get to negate the Droplet here, sending the Mudora, negate Sangen Kaiman, and then Kikalos will resolve, milling Tear Cash here. So they then summoned Pydra, and there was this moment where I was like, no, I just lose here! Because I was like, I don't have a card in hand for Super Poly anymore. They're gonna get the field spell and Chundra, and I lose. But then they set Sangen Kaiman, and I was like, what? That had to be a misclick. And then I remembered, oh, they have to discard for the field spell surge, so I don't just lose here. I really thought, like, I mean, I wasn't about to hit the surrender button, but I was like, I think I just lose here. But no, thankfully we're good. Yeah, all we have to do is out the face down card before we go into the battle phase, which shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, I mean, as soon as we activate Kikalos Effect, Neon Knight's just going to pick it up and say GG's. And it was a GG. Like I said, I chatted with Neon in the Discord server after our game, and they were like, oh, I totally forgot that you had added Crime. And I was like, yeah, that's totally understandable. Completely understandable. Because let me tell you something. I am going to make some misplays in these other upcoming games. I mean, I always do when I play Tearlaments. Tearlaments is a very skill-intensive deck. And I am definitely not the most skilled Tearlament player. But GG's Neon Knights, definitely. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next duel. All right, let's show off another game against Tenpai here. For this one, we did lose the coin flip, which means that we know that we're up against Tenpai. Yeah, because they selected going second. This hand's actually kind of similar to the one that we opened against Neon Knights, but gonna go for the Rhoda. They're gonna Maxi in response to Rhoda. This is poor timing. Don't ever do this. Mostly because it plays right. I mean, they played it during main phase 1 too. Like, there's no advantage to playing Maxi against Reinforcement of the Army, and you play into both Gamma and Triple Attack by doing it that way. So just, yeah. I mean, I understand that not everyone's going to have perfect timing every single time, but I don't know. As someone who, like, definitely just watches YouTube videos while they play Master Duel, it's still not hard to time it well, even if you're not giving your full attention to the game. Like, I know a lot of the way that I talk sometimes, I make it sound like I, like, sweat super focus every single game. Honestly, couldn't be further from the truth. Well, that's not true. There are a lot of times where I'll pause whatever video I'm watching, and I just really lock in. I actually do that a lot when games start to get really, like, back and forth, but majority of the time, if it's a deck I'm, like, at least somewhat familiar with, and I'm just, like, executing a turn 1 combo, I'm probably just watching YouTube on the side, really. But Lightning Storm on the back rows here, that's actually pretty rough. We do get to activate Meta Noise and Solic, but I would definitely rather just have those cards face down. We get to add Havness, so that could be Disruption. And then we're adding a Rhino Heart off the Solia, because there's not really too much else to get here. So Prosperity is next for 6. It's Ash Blossom, Maxi, Shifter. Thank God they didn't open that. Shundra, and then another Ash Blossom. So they end up adding a Shundra here. Going for the Sangen summoning, and then normaling Pydra. Here I'm going to chain Havness, because I have a pretty good setup now. Now that Havness is in play, I can pop it with the Roll Coast and then go to try to summon off either Kaiman or the Shundra effect. We also milled Trick Clown and Shaddoll Beast, which is definitely not bad here. Not only because of the draw off the Shaddoll Beast, but of course now that we have the Shaddoll milled, Winda is online. So, sure enough, they're going to activate the Shundra effect. I will use Roll Close to negate and destroy, sending my Havness to do so. This will activate the Havness effect. I can fuse it with the Shaddoll Beast in my graveyard to make the El Shaddoll Winda. Love that summon animation, looks so good. And yeah, I mean, moving to battle phase, they can go for the Sangen Kaiman here. They're more than welcome to. But now they can't special summon anymore. And as you can see, like I said before, a Tenpai Dragon, it has to be able to do 2 special summons to be able to out Winda. Unless they have a Forbidden Droplet. There's like no other way of it happening. Alright, so here I'm going to normal the Rhino Heart, mill Havness. This is, of course, also my only special summon for the turn, but I'm totally fine with that. So, it sucks, because I've already milled, like, all my trap cards here. Literally all of them. Crime, Meta Noise, and Solig are all there. So I'm going to have to grab Heartbeat and try to use that as follow-up, follow-up support here. Alright, they're going to synchro into Black Rose. I get to go for Kiklos and Tier Cash here. And the Winda, of course, will survive, because it cannot be destroyed by card effects. Yeah, I can't special... Yeah, it is too bad I couldn't special Roll Close or Rhino Heart or get the Shiren effect during the rest of that turn there, but again, it's the nature of having Winda in play, and I do think it is worth having Winda in play. I'm going to still Keldo, even though the Winda's up. I still want to Keldo in response to Fadra. And also putting back a couple of my Super Polys, because Super Poly, that's another reason Tier, I think, has a pretty good Tenpai matchup, is that Super Poly is a very good out to their board. They're always on Fire Dragons, so like you have multiple targets. Here I went for a Rates Off. Don't really know why my opponent bothered using the Ash Blossom, because my only target is Fenrir, and I can't summon that here. And it's like, that's something you should reasonably know about Tearlament, right? Like, the Tier Cache is already in my graveyard, isn't it? Yeah, it's in there, so... Yeah, I forgot about Fadra. I should have definitely... So I definitely did misplay here. I mean, as much as I, say that about my opponent, I definitely did misplay right here, right? I totally forgot Fadra also activates at the start of the damage step. It's specifically the start of the damage step, meaning that I should have preemptively Dragostapelia'd it so that it wouldn't bring back Shundra here. But it's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, because I wouldn't have been able to battle over it anyway. Dragostapelia only stops activated effects, so the can't be destroyed by battle effect would not have been prevented there. And by using the Dragostapelia on the Shundra, we not only prevent it from using effects, but also reduce it to level 1. Here I can end phase Dragostapelia token, or counter rather, on the spheres, as well as getting rid of the back row with the Heartbeat. And that effectively stops about anything they can do for follow-up. Send in the Trivikarma, I'll grab my last target in Grief, and then go into our turn here, and we just have it at this point. We even top decked the call by, so even if we had not put the counter on the spheres, then we still had the call by for it, which is actually just kind of insane. But there we go, there is that game there. We do have one more I want to check out. Let's finish off with that one. Alright, this last game is going to be up against Unchained. And it's not like a Yubel deck, it's actually just a dedicated Unchained deck, which is cool. Cool to see. Going second for this one, with a pretty good going second hand, actually. The Super Poly and the Heartbeat going second are pretty nice. Tearlaments traditionally does not play nearly as many hand traps. Well, I don't know about not nearly as many, we still play a solid amount. But they don't really play as many hand traps. Actually, I'm thinking about it, it's just C and Ash Blossom, isn't it? Yeah, you don't really play that many hand traps in this deck. You mostly rely on, like, board breakers or just, like, I don't know, generally making a lot of plays to push through your opponent's board. But this is the kind of hand that does demonstrate, how that's feasible, right? It might not seem like it on paper, but in practice, it's not really that bad. Yeah, so as they're just making plays, the whole thing I'm thinking about here is I'm just considering, like, what all exactly I'm going to be able to super poly away, right? You know, our targets are, our main targets, that is, are Garura and Mud Dragon. So, the thing is, the cards like to share attribute, if nothing else, and that can be a little difficult with Unchained. It's not, even though it's all fiends, it's not just dark, there's a lot of water and fire as well. They're gonna pop their face down trap card for Shyama. Abominable Chamber brings out Sharvara. I don't know why that's the one I couldn't remember the name of for a second. They have the Wave High King Caesar. I'm gonna set another card before passing over to me. Alright. This road is a fantastic top deck. I'm gonna go ahead and lead with that, grabbing the Rhino Heart, which I'll then normal summon, activating the Rhino Heart effect. Opponent's gonna chain Imperm. That is absolutely perfect. I'm going to get the Heartbeat in on the other face down first, and then I'll Super Poly. I want to Heartbeat the other face down now before it comes up later, right? And then, yeah, Super Poly, of course, can't be chained to. It gets rid of the Wave High King Caesar. It also gets my Rhino Heart off the field, so the Imperm doesn't negate it. And now I get the Mud Dragon to potentially protect against the Unchained Soul of Rage. Although, it's kind of weird timing for that, right? Because I would need to do it preemptively. But if I do it preemptively, they could just chain the Unchained Soul effect, so... yeah, changing the attribute here is a little weird with the Mud Dragon to try to use it against Rage, but... I'm going to go for the Kikalos here. Activating Kikalos to mill Tear Cache. Tear Cache F is activating. Gonna then activate Kikalos. This is where our opponent uses Unchained Soul of Rage. Like... yeah, because if I had, like, preemptively tried to change it to Dark with Mud Dragon, they would have just chained. So, changing it to Dark on the same chain link doesn't really do a lot. But what it does do is, as our opponent's going to go into the SP, now I can use Kikalos' effect to bring herself back. And now they can't SP either of my monsters. Although, to be fair... I could have also just not activated Mud Dragon and just brought back Tear Cache, and then they both would have been water, and then I would have gotten a Mill 3 on top of being in the same board state anyway. So that would have been the optimal play, but I didn't fully think that through. When I activated Mud Dragon's effect, I was like, oh, I can bring back Kikalos, and then I was like, oh wait, I could have just brought back Tear Cache. Oops, oh well. I am going to Foolish Goods the Trivikarma. I think I would have done the Soliak, but it was already in the yard, right? No, it wasn't. Oh, but I already used my summon, yes. So that makes a little more sense. So, yeah, I get to summon out the Shiren. I also got to mill 5 thanks to that grief there. Now I get to make the Time Thief Redoer. Time Thief Redoer effect's going to activate. They're going to chain the Reika effect. Also, I maybe shouldn't have battled over their Aruha. I always forget that Unchains are destroyed by battle or card effect. Well, the card effect, I know, it's the battle part, because it's almost kind of buried. It's like, if this card on the field is destroyed by card effects, that's Reika. And as I'm skimming the card, I'm like, okay, so battle is fine. But then it's like, can be destroyed by battle, or is destroyed by battle, is destroyed by card effects, that's Reika, or by battle. I feel like they sneak in the or by battle. Which is really just my way of being like, grr, this game made me had to read. Anyway. Yeah, as they go for the Shyama here, I'm going to use my Mudora to stop that from coming back. They still get to destroy the Aruha, but this at the very least doesn't give them the extra body. Okay, they're going for Sharvara. I'm going to try to Fairy Tail Snow here, because I don't want them to run into my dude and get a search, but they're going to Called By. And I only have 3 other cards in the graveyard, so I don't want to eat my whole board just to summon Fairy Tail Snow here, so... they can Call By it, that's fine. They can run their Sharvara into my Time Thief Redoer. That is a-okay. Setting the Abominable Chamber before passing back over to me here. Alright. Getting another spell card off the Redoer, so we'll just go ahead and take the draw. Ash Blossom's not bad here. Activating Rate South for a little bit of an attack buff, just to try to deal somewhat more damage. But they are going to make the Unchained Soul of Rage. We have the Havness, so we get to use that in Mill 3. And they've already summoned SP, so I think this is just Anguish. Yeah, this is just Anguish, which is not a big deal. Alright, milling the Shadowbeast gets us a draw. We also have the Destrudo. Oh my god, this was a horrible misplay here. I was like, I can summon Pep. I think this is lethal. First of all, it wouldn't have been lethal. It wouldn't have been lethal. I would have been... 35 plus 39 is 74. I would have been 500 points short. Also, I completely misremembered Psychic End Punisher's effect. I thought I banished a card on each field. I have to banish a monster. So I just threw away my whole board to banish this one monster on my opponent's field. Oh, it's so bad. So bad. Yeah. Yeah, it was bad. I can't believe it's been that long since I've summoned a Psychic End Punisher that I forgot that badly about what it actually did. Good lord. But we're never punished. We're just going to rip the Supreme Sea Mare off the top of our deck, and then our opponent will just concede. So, oh, God. I'm sure my opponent was, like, vastly confused about what was going on. Don't worry. You were clearly not the only player in this game who was confused. But that'll do it for this one. Thanks as always for watching these games. Super duper appreciate you being here. But that's going to do it. So this is Hexlex. I'm signing out and also hoping that you have a fantastic day. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up, and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.